Hello, and welcome back. I'm really glad you're here with me today. This is English with Thomas, a quiet place where we don't rush, where we don't try to sound perfect, and where English is not something to impress others with, but something to live inside. Today, I want to talk about something very ordinary, and at the same time, very uncomfortable for many people. Small talk. Those short conversations that happen in elevators, in offices, at coffee shops, at family gatherings, before meetings start, or while we're waiting for something to begin. The weather, work, traffic. How are you busy lately? Long day, huh? If you're listening to this and thinking, I feel awkward in small talk, I want you to know something very clearly. You are not strange. You are not bad at English, and you are definitely not alone. Small talk looks small on the surface, but emotionally, it can feel very big. Today, I want to walk with you through that feeling, not to fix it quickly, not to give you clever tricks, but to understand it, to soften it, and to learn how English lives inside these simple human moments. So take a slow breath, let your shoulders relax in, and just listen, as if we're sitting somewhere quiet together. I remember one morning, a few years ago, standing in line at a small cafe. It was early. The light outside was pale and gentle. People were half awake, holding their coffee cups like anchors. In front of me was a man I had never met. Behind me, a woman scrolling on her phone, and suddenly, the man turned around, smiled, and said something very simple. Cold today, isn't it? That was it. 5 words. Cold today, isn't it? And yet, in that moment, my mind reacted much faster than my heart. I felt a small tightening in my chest. A pause that was probably invisible, but very loud inside me. What should I say? Do I agree? Do I add something? Do I sound natural? And this is interesting, because English is my language. I teach it. I live in it. But still, that small moment reminded me of something important. Awkwardness in small talk is not about language level. It's about being human. I smiled back and said, yeah, it really is. Winter came suddenly this year. Nothing special, nothing impressive. But after he turned back around, I noticed how my body slowly relaxed again. That tiny interaction stayed with me longer than I expected. Not because it was deep, but because it was honest. Small talk often feels awkward because we expect it to be something else. We expect it to be meaningful, or interesting, or smooth. But small talk is not meant to be deep. It's meant to be a bridge, a way of saying, I see you. I'm here too. We share this moment. Now, let me tell you another story. I once had a student, I'll call her Mai. Mai was very good at English. Her vocabulary was strong. Her grammar was careful. But she told me something that surprised her. She said, Thomas, I can talk about big topics, education, culture, my dreams, but I feel very nervous when someone just says, hello. She laughed when she said it, but her eyes were serious. She told me about her office. Every morning, she walked in, nodded politely, and went straight to her desk. Her coworkers talked easily with each other. Did you watch the game last night? This coffee tastes terrible today. I'm so tired. Mai listened, but rarely joined, not because she didn't understand, but because she didn't know how to enter. She said, I feel like small talk has invisible rules, and everyone else knows them. That sentence stayed with me. Small talk does have rules, but they are not grammar rules. They are emotional rules. And the most important one is this. Small talk is not about saying the right thing. It's about showing gentle presence. Let's slow down and notice the language for a moment. Think about the phrase, cold today, isn't it? Repeat after me, slowly. Cold today, isn't it? Notice how soft it is. It doesn't demand an answer. It invites one. You could say, yeah, definitely. Yeah, much colder than yesterday. All of these are enough. Small talk is full of enough sentences. Not perfect, not complete, just enough. Now, try this one. Busy lately. Repeat it quietly in your mind. Busy lately. This is not a serious question. It's a door. You can open it a little. Yeah, kind of. Yeah, work's been busy. A bit. But it's okay. Or you can open it a bit more. Yeah, end of the month is always like this. Both are correct. Both are human. One thing that often makes small talk feel awkward is silence. Silence right after a short question can feel heavy. But silence is not failure. Silence is part of the rhythm. Sometimes we expect conversation to flow like a river, but small talk flows more like gentle steps, a sentence, a pause, a smile. Another sentence. When you learn English through textbooks, you often learn long answers. But real life doesn't need long answers. Let me share another moment. I was once in an elevator with a colleague I didn't know very well. The elevator was slow. Too slow for comfort. He looked at the numbers above the door and said, "These elevators are always slow." I smiled and said, "Yeah, especially in the morning." Then, silence. We stood there for maybe 10 seconds. And you know what? Nothing bad happened. No one judged. No one failed. The doors opened. We nodded. We walked out. That was the entire conversation. And that was enough. If you feel awkward in small talk, I want you to notice something. You might be very good at meaningful conversation. You might care deeply. You might think carefully before speaking. Small talk asks us to do the opposite, to speak lightly, without preparation, without weight. That can feel unnatural. Now, let's gently practice together. Imagine someone says to you, "How's your day going?" Repeat it. How's your day going? You don't need a story. You don't need honesty in its deepest form. You need a soft truth. Pretty good. Not bad. Kind of long, but okay. Try saying one of those out loud. Slowly. Pretty good. Notice how your mouth moves. Notice how calm it can feel. Small talk often becomes easier when we stop trying to be interesting. Most people don't want interesting, they want comfortable. Let me tell you something personal. Sometimes, even now, I feel tired of small talk. Sometimes, I want to skip it and go straight to meaning. But I've learned to see small talk differently. I see it as a warm-up, like stretching before walking. It prepares the space, and language, at its heart, is about space. Space between people. Space where no one is alone. When someone talks about the weather, they are not really talking about the weather. They are saying, "Can we exist together for a moment?" And when you answer, you are saying, "Yes." That's all. Let's look at another common phrase. Long day, huh? Repeat it gently. Long day, huh? That little huh at the end is important. It softens the sentence. It makes it friendly. You could answer, "Yeah, very long, yeah, but almost over." All of these build connection. Now, I want you to think about your own life. Where does small talk make you uncomfortable? Is it at work, with neighbors, with classmates, at social events? Just notice. You don't need to solve it. Sometimes, awareness is the first kind of fluency. I remember Mai again. After a few months, she told me something had changed. She said she started answering small talk with very short sentences. Not perfect ones, just real ones. When someone said, Busy today. She said, yeah, meetings all day? That's it. She didn't add anything, but something interesting happened. Other people added for her. Oh, I know that feeling. Same here. Endless meetings. The conversation grew without her pushing it. This is an important lesson. You don't have to carry the conversation. You just have to place one stone. Others will place theirs. Now, let's practice another expression. I know what you mean. Repeat it slowly. I know what you mean. This sentence is very powerful in small talk. It shows understanding without effort. Someone says, Mondays are tough. You say, I know what you mean. Connection happens. Or this one, yeah, that happens. Repeat it. Yeah, that happens. It accepts the moment as shared. Small talk is full of acceptance. I want to say something gently but clearly. If you feel awkward in small talk, it does not mean you are bad at English. It often means you are thoughtful. Thoughtful people sometimes struggle with lightness, but lightness can be learned, not by forcing yourself to be loud, not by memorizing jokes, but by allowing yourself to be simple. Simple language, simple responses, simple presence. Sometimes, the most fluent thing you can say is, yeah, and a smile. Let's slow down again. Imagine you are standing somewhere, a bus stop, an office hallway, a classroom. Someone looks at you and says, looks like it might rain. Say it with me. Looks like it might rain. You could say, yeah, I think so. Yeah, I forgot my umbrella. Hopefully not. Any of these are enough. Notice how none of them are impressive. That's the point. I think one reason small talk feels difficult for English learners is that it's rarely taught. We teach debates, presentations, essays, but life is made of in-between moments, and English lives there too. When you learn to speak in those moments, something changes. You stop waiting for the right time to use English. You start living in it. Let me share a quiet truth. Some of the most confident English speakers I know are not the most accurate. They are the most relaxed. They allow mistakes. They allow pauses. They allow awkwardness. And awkwardness, when accepted, becomes warmth. Now, try this phrase. Same here. Repeat it. Same here. It's short. It's easy. It connects. Someone says, I'm tired. Same here. Someone says, this week feels long. Same here. You're not adding information. You're adding solidarity. Small talk is often about solidarity. I want you to imagine something. Imagine that every small conversation is not a test, but a soft handshake. No one expects perfection in a handshake. They expect sincerity. If your English is sincere, it's already enough. As we come closer to the end of our time together, I want to speak directly to you. If you feel awkward in small talk, I see you. I know that feeling of standing there, knowing the words, but feeling unsure. I know the feeling of replaying a short conversation in your mind later. But I want you to release some of that pressure. You are allowed to be quiet. You are allowed to be brief. You are allowed to learn slowly. Every small exchange is practice, not practice for English, practice for presence. When we talk about simple things, we are practicing being with people. And that matters. Next time someone says something small to you, try this. Answer simply. Breathe. Let it be enough. You are not failing. You are participating. And that is already a kind of fluency. Thank you for spending this time with me. Thank you for listening with patience and openness. Sometimes, after a small conversation ends, we walk away and keep thinking about it. We replay the words. We think about what we said. We think about what we didn't say. Maybe you've felt this too. You get home, or you sit down at your desk, and suddenly that short exchange comes back to you. Why did I say that I should have said something else? I sounded strange. This habit is very human, and I want you to hear this gently. Small talk is not meant to stay with you. It is like a breeze. It passes through, but when we care deeply about language, when we want to do well, we sometimes hold on too tightly. I do this too. I remember a time when I met someone new at a small gathering. Nothing formal, just people standing, holding drinks, talking softly. Someone asked me, "So, what do you do?" A very common question, a very normal one. And yet, for a second, I felt that familiar tension. How much should I say? How simple should I be? How do I sound natural? I answered, "I teach English." That was it. And the person smiled and said, "Oh, that's nice." And then they talked about their own work. Later that night, I caught myself thinking, maybe I could have explained more. Maybe I sounded boring. But then I stopped myself. That conversation had already done its job. It opened a door. It created a moment of ease. It didn't need to be memorable. Small talk does not need to represent who you are. It only needs to represent that you are there. Let's notice another very common phrase. So, just that word, so. People often use it before speaking. It fills space. It signals openness. So, how was your weekend? Repeat it softly. So, how was your weekend? You don't need a story. You can say, pretty quiet, nice and relaxing, busy, but good. These answers are not summaries of your life. They are gentle signals. They say, I'm willing to share a little, and that is enough. One thing I want you to release is the idea that small talk must lead somewhere. Sometimes it does, often it doesn't, and both are fine. Some conversations are like doors to deeper connection. Others are like windows you pass by. You don't stop at every window. You just notice the light. When you feel awkward, it might be because you are waiting for something more meaningful to happen. But meaning does not always arrive immediately. Sometimes meaning grows slowly, through many small, unremarkable moments. Now, let me guide you through a simple way of listening in small talk. Instead of thinking, what should I say next? Try thinking, what is the feeling here? Is the person tired, lighthearted, in a hurry? You don't need to name it. Just feel it, and then respond lightly. If someone sounds tired and says, "It's been a long week," you can say, "Yeah, it really has." You are matching the energy. That is communication, not words alone. Energy. This is something textbooks rarely teach, but you can feel it. You already do, in your own language. English is not different. It only feels different because you are more aware, and awareness, while powerful, can also make things feel heavy. So let's make it lighter. Imagine small talk as walking alongside someone for a few steps. You don't need to know their destination. You just walk together briefly. Then you turn away, and both of you continue. I want to share one more small moment. I was once waiting for a meeting to start. People were sitting around a table, opening laptops, checking phones. Someone said, "Looks like everyone's running late today." I said, "Yeah, seems like it." And that was all. The meeting started. No one remembered who said what, but the room felt a little more human. That is the quiet power of small talk. It warms the space. If you are listening to this while learning English, I want you to practice something this week. Not a big task, a small one. The next time you hear a simple question, answer it simply. Don't explain. Don't correct yourself too much. Don't apologize. Just answer, and then let it go. You are not collecting evidence about your English. You are collecting moments of ease, and those moments add up. Over time, you will notice something. Your body will relax faster. Your answers will come more easily. The silence will feel less threatening, not because you memorized more phrases, But because you stopped fighting the moment, English becomes lighter when we stop demanding too much from it and from ourselves. If today's episode leaves you with only one idea, let it be this. Small talk is not a performance. It is a shared breath, and you are allowed to breathe. Thank you for being here with me and for listening with such care. There is one more quiet misunderstanding about small talk that I want to gently untangle with you. Many people believe that small talk is something confident people enjoy, that confident people like talking about nothing. But that is not really true. Most people do not enjoy small talk because it is exciting. They tolerate it because it creates safety to exist together without pressure. When you see small talk this way, something shifts. It stops being a test of personality. It becomes a signal of peace. I once spoke with another learner who said, "Thomas, I don't like small talk because it feels fake." I understood exactly what she meant. Sometimes small talk feels disconnected from real feelings. But here is the nuance. Small talk is not fake emotion. It is low-risk emotion. It allows people to connect without asking for vulnerability. Not everyone is ready to be deep. Not everyone wants to share their inner world. Small talk respects that. It says, we can be together without asking too much from each other. That is not emptiness. That is kindness. Let's look at a phrase that often feels meaningless, but isn't. How are you? Repeat it slowly.
How are you?
This question is not really asking for your life story. It is asking, are you okay to be here with me right now? And your answer does not need to be honest in a dramatic way. Good, fine, doing okay. These answers are not lies. They are agreements. They say, yes, I can stand here and talk for a moment. And that is enough. If one day you feel comfortable sharing more, you can, good, just a bit tired. Okay, just busy. Small additions. Nothing heavy. Small talk is built from small additions. I want you to notice something else. Small talk often feels easier when we stop focusing on ourselves. Not in a self-critical way, but in a gentle outward way. Instead of thinking, do I sound strange? Try thinking, can I make this moment a little lighter? That might be through a short answer, a nod, a smile, a shared sigh. Language is only one part of communication. Your presence speaks too. I've seen people with very limited English create warm small talk simply by being relaxed. And I've seen fluent speakers create tension by overthinking. Fluency is not speed, it is ease. Ease with imperfection, ease with silence, ease with simplicity. There is also something cultural I want to honor. In some cultures, silence is respect. In others, talking fills respect. Neither is wrong. If you come from a culture where people don't speak unless there is meaning, small talk can feel unnecessary. So if it feels uncomfortable, that discomfort makes sense. You are not lacking skill. You are crossing cultures, and crossing cultures always feels awkward at first. Give yourself credit for that. Now, I want to leave you with a small inner practice. The next time you feel awkward in small talk, instead of pushing the feeling away, quietly say to yourself, this is a human moment, not an English moment. Not a performance, a human one. Awkwardness is often just awareness, and awareness over time becomes calm. You are already doing something brave. You are learning to express yourself in another language. You are allowing yourself to be seen imperfectly. That takes courage, so be gentle with yourself. Let small talk be small. Let English be lived, not judged. And remember, every simple conversation is a quiet step forward, even if it doesn't feel like one. Before we part, there is one last layer I want to sit with you in for a moment. It's the moment right before small talk begins. That tiny space where you see someone, You sense that a conversation might happen, and your body reacts before your mind does. Maybe your shoulders tighten. Maybe your breath becomes shallow. Maybe your thoughts speed up. This moment is very quiet, but very powerful. And it's not about English, it's about anticipation. Our minds are very good at predicting discomfort. They try to protect us by preparing too much. But small talk does not need preparation. It needs permission. Permission to be ordinary. The next time you feel that anticipation, try this. Instead of preparing words, prepare softness. Relax your jaw. Drop your shoulders. Slow your breathing just a little. You are telling your body, this is safe. Because it is. Nothing important is at risk. Your intelligence is not being measured. Your value is not being judged. Your English is not being graded. It's just two people sharing a moment of time. I want you to remember something very grounding. Most people are not listening as carefully as you think. They are thinking about themselves, just like you are. They are wondering what to say next. They are wondering how they sound. They are hoping not to feel awkward. This means you are not alone in that feeling. Awkwardness is shared, and when something is shared, it becomes lighter. Sometimes small talk becomes easier when you allow yourself to exit. You don't have to keep it going. You can answer, smile, and let the moment end naturally. Conversations don't need strong endings. They fade. Just like this episode will. I often remind my students of this simple truth. You don't learn English only when you speak a lot. You also learn English when you listen calmly, when you notice patterns, when you feel rhythm, when you sense tone. Even standing silently in a small conversation is part of learning. Silence is not absence. It is presence without words. So if one day you don't feel like speaking much, that's okay. You are still participating. You are still inside the language, and over time, you may notice something surprising. The more you allow small talk to be small, the more natural it becomes. Not exciting, not dramatic, just easy. And ease is what we are really learning here. Not perfect English, not clever phrases, but the ability to exist gently in another language, to breathe inside it, to live inside it. If you are listening to this late at night, or early in the morning, or in between tasks, I want you to know how much respect I have for you. Learning a language takes patience. Learning to be comfortable in small, human moments takes even more. You are doing both, quietly, steadily, in your own way, and that is more than enough. And even after everything we've talked about, I want to be honest with you. There will still be days when small talk feels heavy, days when you don't want to answer, days when your energy is low, days when English feels far away from you. That doesn't mean you're going backward. It means you're human. Learning to live in a language is not a straight line. It's a rhythm. Some days you move easily. Some days you pause. Some days you just listen. All of it counts. There is a quiet strength in allowing yourself to show up as you are. Not more confident than you feel. Not more cheerful than you are. Just present. Sometimes present sounds like a full sentence. Sometimes it sounds like yeah. Sometimes it sounds like silence and a nod. All of these are real communication. I want you to stop imagining small talk as something you must master. Think of it instead as something you gently get used to. Like a room you enter many times. At first, you notice everything. The sounds, the people, your own movements. Over time, the room feels familiar. You stop thinking about where to stand. You stop thinking about what to do with your hands. You just exist there. English can become that room, and small talk is one of the doors. Not the most beautiful door, not the most important one, but one that opens often. You don't have to love it. You just have to walk through it sometimes. And every time you do, even awkwardly, you are telling yourself, I belong here too. That message matters more than perfect grammar, more than fluent sentences. Belonging is the deepest kind of fluency. If you remember nothing else from this time we've spent together, remember this: you are allowed to be simple. You are allowed to be quiet. You are allowed to be learning. English is not asking you to become someone else. It is inviting you to bring yourself into it, slowly. So the next time someone says something small to you, don't ask yourself if you're good enough. Ask yourself something softer. Can I meet this moment gently? And then answer in the simplest way you can. That is more than enough. Thank you for walking with me through this long, quiet journey. Thank you for trusting me with your attention. And if you are still listening, still sitting with these words, I want to slow down with you just a little more. Because sometimes the most important part of learning doesn't happen when we receive new ideas. It happens when we let them settle. So let's stay here for a moment. Think about the next small conversation you might have. Not a big one, not an important one, just a small one. Maybe tomorrow, maybe later today. You don't need to plan it. Just imagine it lightly. Someone speaks, you respond. Nothing changes the world. And yet, something inside you softens. That softening matters. When we stop fighting small talk, we stop fighting ourselves. We stop saying, I should be better, and start saying, this is okay. And this is okay is a very powerful sentence. Repeat it quietly in your mind. This is okay. That sentence belongs to language learning, but it also belongs to life. I think many people who struggle with small talk are actually very deep listeners. They notice tone, they notice mood, they notice what is not being said. That sensitivity is not a weakness. It is a gift. It just needs space to breathe. Small talk doesn't ask you to give up that depth. It simply asks you to rest it for a moment, to float on the surface. And floating is not shallow. Floating is trust. Trust that you don't need to control everything. Trust that a moment can be light and still meaningful. As you continue learning English, I hope you don't measure your progress only by vocabulary or confidence. Measure it by comfort. By how quickly your body relaxes. By how gently you speak to yourself afterward. By how easily you let moments pass. Those are signs of real growth, and they are quiet signs, often invisible to others, but deeply felt inside. So wherever you are right now, whatever kind of learner you are, whatever kind of speaker you feel like today, I want you to hear this clearly. You are doing enough. You are learning in the right way for you. You are allowed to take your time. English will wait for you, and small talk will always be there, not as a challenge, but as an invitation. Thank you for sharing this time, this space, and this quiet attention with me. And now, as we gently come to the very end, I don't want to add anything new. I don't want to teach another phrase. I don't want to explain another idea. I just want to leave you with the feeling that nothing is wrong with you, not your personality, not your pace, not the way you speak, not the way you hesitate. Small talk may still feel awkward sometimes, and that's okay. Awkward does not mean incapable. Awkward does not mean failing. Awkward often means you are present and aware. And awareness, when treated kindly, becomes confidence. Not loud confidence, not confident words, but quiet confidence. The kind that lets you stand in a moment without running away from it. The kind that lets you answer simply and move on. The kind that trusts that you belong, even when you don't feel fluent. As this episode fades out, I hope you carry one soft understanding with you. You don't have to conquer small talk. You don't have to enjoy it. You don't have to become someone else through English. You only have to stay. Stay curious. Stay gentle. Stay willing to speak, even a little. That is how language becomes part of your life. And that is more than enough. Thank you for listening all the way to the end. Thank you for your patience, your openness, and your quiet effort. This is English with Thomas. I'm Thomas. Keep speaking, keep growing, and keep trusting yourself.